this is Leigh with Coda Country, and today I have the pleasure of meeting with this new band. Please forgive me if I fangirl a little bit because they're one of my favorite new artists right now. This is Malachi and Logan with the band Lula. How are you guys today?
We're good. Thank you so much for having us. We're stoked to be here.
Yeah, thanks for having us on.
Yeah, well, and I tell you, for the listeners out there who don't know much about you all, one, can you give us a shout out of like your social media handles so we can find you and that kind of thing? Go ahead with that.
Yeah, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook and Spotify and all that. But our handle on Instagram is the Band Loula, Loula.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And then I'm just going to give a little brief insight to how I discovered you all. I happened to be in Nashville. I'm not from there. I'm from Georgia, just like y'all are. And I happened to be in Nashville, and I stumbled upon a whiskey jam on a random Monday night, and I saw the name Lula on the screen, and I was like, when you go to whiskey jam, you expect there to be pretty stellar acts on the stage. And when you guys came on and sang your first note together, I was like, this is a band that everybody needs to know about. So I'm really thankful that you guys kind of decided to sit down with me today and talk about yourselves, because I want to know more, and I want everybody else to know more about you too. So yeah, of course. And since that whiskey jam, I think that was back in May. I know that was maybe your first time. There's been a lot that's been going on. So let's start with talking about how you all got together and formed your band out of Gainesville, Georgia. Let me know a little bit about that first.
Yeah. So Malachi and I have known each other since we were about 15. We met through some mutual friends, and I actually first saw him singing on a stage. He was singing karaoke at some Relay for Life event, and then shortly after, our friend groups kind of meshed together. So we've been friends since we were 15, probably been singing at church since we were maybe 16 or 17. And then our friendship just stayed super strong. Our friend groups are still to this day super strong. And we reconnected probably about 5 years ago. And he just said, hey, we should probably do a cover together sometime. It was super random. He was, his career was fully in music, and mine was in photography. So it was kind of just a random thing for me personally. And we did a cover together, and that led to our community saying, when are you going to have an album? When y'all going to do a song together? And we just kind of kept hitting on that, and then finally decided to start the band. Malachi might could speak into it a little more because he kind of remembers the day that he was like, okay, this should be a band now.
We did some collaborations just like on my personal YouTube channel, which I think they're actually still up there. But we did a cover of Billie Jean, and then we did like a version of On the Road Again, and The Devil Went Down to Georgia. And every time we post a video, we would just get like a spike of attention, like from our community and stuff like that. And just anybody who heard it, they would just have great things to say about us together. And I think that's kind of whenever we found the magic of it all. And Logan called me one time after, I don't know when it was probably sometime 2020 or 2021, I don't know. But she called me, and this was after a video that we recently had posted. I think it was Devil Went Down to Georgia. And she was like, somebody's asking us to play it like this, this showcase thing, and it would be like 3 hours of covers or something like that. And I was like, Logan, like I've been doing covers for like 6 years, just paying the bills or whatever. Like, I think we have something special, and if you want to do this, like, I think this is our sign to like, let's just, let's do this, And the joke is, whenever that phone call was happening, I was sitting in the Publix parking lot. I just got like a box of chicken. So it's like stuck in my mind. Every time I go to Publix now and get chicken, I think about the day that the band was kind of formed. But yeah, that's how it. That's kind of the conception of it. And then after that, we officially debuted in September of 2022, and just been rock and rolling since then.
Yeah, September. Wow, that's really not that long ago. Because I know, like I was saying, you played Whiskey Jam, and we'll come back to that in just a second. But then after that, you guys signed a deal with Universal Music Group, so that's a big deal. Tell me about signing and getting in touch with that contact and how that went.
Yeah, so it was very unexpected. As he said, we did debut in September with our first song. We knew since, like he said, about 2020 that we were gonna do this, but Malachi was really, really good about being super intentional about how we formed the band because, like I said, he was in music for a large portion of his life, and we wanted to be serious about it. We wanted the timing to be right, and we didn't want to rush into anything. So we worked really hard to get some photo shoots down and logos, and then we debuted. So, anyways, September is when we debuted, and then this past May, literally last month, it was probably about the end of April. Actually, I get a call from Malachi. I was in the LA airport, and he said, "Did you look at our email?" And I said, "Yeah." Who is that? And he said, "That's the vice president of Universal, like
Universal
at
Publishing. Yeah.
Universal Publishing." And I was like, okay, that's kind of wild. And in my mind, I'm like, was it a spam email? Like, is it a joke? I'm not really sure. So we both were just kind of buzzing from that. We received the email. He's really interested in who we are, if we wrote our songs, if we have a publisher or a manager, all of the above. And long story short, he asked when our next show was, and it was about 4 or 5 days after that email in a parking lot under a tent in Gainesville. And he showed up with his whole family, drove 5 hours to see us under that tent, and was very interested in us. And the next week, we ended up canceling a show that we were doing to go up and kind of take a chance and sing for the staff, and just really say thank you to Ron for coming and watching us. And we went and sang for him and had a deal offered to us pretty much the day after. So it was very random, and that's how the contact came about.
I mean, that's magical, honestly. It's and I get it. After hearing you, I was kind of like, this is something pretty awesome, pretty impressive. Okay, so talking with Ron and getting the deal going, I know that we have heard some of your recent releases, like Getting Clean, the acoustic version that you just put out. My Mama Likes You, which is just such a sweet little cute song. So I'm excited to hear more new music from you too. And you were just telling me that we have a release coming out July 20th, and the song is called Gasoline. Could you tell the listeners a little bit more about the writing process on that and how that came to be?
That one has a funny story, I guess. Like, we were, anytime we ever go to the studio to record something, I always feel the pressure, like, let's see if we can beat what we've got so far, because we always want to take, the best thing to the studio. So every time we head to the studio, I'm always like cramming some writing sessions in. And it was probably 4 or 5 days before we were going to Muscle Shoals to record our next batch of songs. And I wrote the song one morning at my studio, a studio in Georgia, my office, is at my house. And
it's nice though. It was like it's a full. I mean, it was very, very nice studio.
I'm not a producer or anything like that, but I just, in my little humble office, I wrote a song and sent it to Logan. And I made a little work tape of it and sent it to Logan, and she liked it, and our producer liked it, and literally 4 or 5 days later, we ended up deciding that we wanted to record that one, just because it just felt fresh and just felt right. And I think that's whenever you're in the studio that you want to chase the thing that you have the best momentum with, and that was one of the ones we decided to chase. And so we're excited to release it. Coming July 20th is the date on that. And obviously it's going to be available for pre-save, and if you want to buy it, pre-download and stuff like that.
Of course. Well, and okay, so Gasoline, the title, I feel like that leads to a lot to be left unsaid there. Tell me, what's the song about?
It's about kind of just being at the end of your rope, Um, and I think we all kind of, I'm trying to think of the chorus. Yeah, I would say the song's about kind of being at the end of your rope and like just fighting through it and kind of finding some new inspiration to keep going. The title says, gasoline. So it's basically like you're running out of energy. You're at the end of your rope. Like you need something fresh. And the chorus in the beginning says, "Break me free from all my sins before I'm sleeping with the dogs again. Cut me loose or cut me clean because I ain't got no more gasoline." So it's like, you're at the end of your rope and you're basically like sending up a last prayer to give you some more energy or whatever it is. But
Yeah. Wow. That's a really cool chorus, and I can't wait to hear it with all the instrumentation and y'all's harmonies on it. I'm sure are going to be amazing. So, okay. When you work in your home studio, is that normally something that you both collaborate on? I know you said you sent like a work tape to Logan. But how much of the writing process is Malachi? How much of the writing process is Logan? How does that work out?
I don't really think there's a rhyme or reason to it. I think Logan will write songs, I'll write songs. We'll write songs together. We'll co-write with another writer or maybe two other writers. And we're doing a lot more of that these days, signing our deal with Universal Publishing. And so, I don't know if there's necessarily a rhyme or reason. I think if there's any formula, it's keeping it fresh and not getting kind of accustomed to doing the same thing and getting kind of I don't know.
It's kind of like setting our ways with it, or just kind of letting it go, letting it kind of go mundane. But Malachi's been writing. He's a very humble human being. If you don't already catch that drift, but he writes a lot, and he wrote a lot before I came into the picture. So he was already a super skilled writer, and I was the type of person who, like I said, I had a different career. Music has been a part of my entire life, but it was something that I just thought would never happen for me. So I was very much let me just like write this song that I don't think anybody ever needs to hear because it's probably not good enough for somebody to hear, and then just put it away. And now I'm learning to, co-write with people and how to bring good ideas to the table and how to contribute to a song. And it's really a big learning process. Songwriting is, for me at least. And so he, like I said, has been writing for a very long time. And I think together we really do have some magic there, and we have found some people that we really love to co-write with. And especially, like you said, with this new journey of having to co-write all the time, we're just really excited to be able to expand how we write and write with new people. And it's really brought us out of our box, I feel like, as a band. And we've been able to write songs like Gasoline, and we have one that we love, Marshall County Man, that we wrote with our friend Gary Nichols. And this is it's been especially a fun process for me to just learn more about being a better songwriter. But I think, to answer more to your question, it's a little bit of both. Definitely Malachi's is more seasoned in this for sure, and then I do what I can, and we write together a lot, and we have co-writes. We have co-writes throughout the week for sure. So we've hit the ground running with that.
Well, and that's great that you guys are kind of expanding and sharing, your songwriting capabilities, because you're great at what you do, and I love hearing what I've heard so far. Now, as far as performing in your next couple shows, you were saying that you have some coming up in North Georgia, where you're from, near Buford, near Athens. And you talked to me a little bit about another Whiskey Jam appearance. Can you talk to me about how you decided that you wanted to play Whiskey Jam for the first time?
Honestly, it kind of came to us. Like, we're very, very fortunate to be in that situation, but if we were to go into all the details about how this whole about how our deal with Universal came into place, and just front to back, there's just the list goes on and on of just these events that have happened that can only be described as like either from God, or fate, or how, however, whoever's listening, receives that. But we think that, it was blessings from the Lord. And the Whiskey Jam thing was just a similar thing. Like we got involved with Universal and our deal was pending, and they were like, we want to do whatever we can to give y'all opportunities. And it was literally the day after our first meeting with them, I think, that Ron was he just reached out to Whiskey Jam, Ward at Whiskey Jam, and we were just so grateful that they just had a spot the next week, which is I think it's pretty uncommon, I guess, unless somebody drops out or something. So it's just another one of those fateful events.
Yeah, and we the next time that we have a Whiskey Jam show, which is next week, next Thursday on July the 6th. And that came about through Ward, he's the founder of Whiskey Jam. He actually sent us an email and said, hey, y'all crushed it last time. We want to have you back. Send us some available dates. And in our minds, we were like, well, let's send them dates through like September or October. I'm sure they're booked up. I'm sure they do this way ahead of time. So I sent him about 20 dates, and he wrote back and he said, I don't want to wait. Let's do the very first date you have on your list. So we're going to be there next week on Thursday, and we're really, really excited for that show. And then after that, we have a show on July 14th in Beaufort, Georgia. We have a show after that at the new Boot Barn Hall in Gainesville on July 20th, our release date for Gasoline. And you can find a list of our shows on thebandloula.com. We have tickets available there and links there, and we're really excited to be really pouring back into our community and our roots and doing several shows there throughout the year. A lot of people, when we moved, were like, oh, I guess we'll never see you in Gainesville again. But that's definitely not the case. We are really excited to continue to play shows there and continue to try to sell out some spots around home, as well as being excited for our shows here in Nashville too.
Yeah. That's our foundation, and we're signed with Universal Publishing, so we're officially like songwriters with Universal. But as far as the artist and the record side of things goes, we're still independent, and so we would love to find the right partner when that opportunity comes. But right now we're still doing everything on the artist side of things really by ourselves, and so. We have to lean on our roots, and our roots and our foundation is built in North Georgia. And so we have shows in Dahlonega, Athens, Beaufort, Gainesville, and then we have a good relationship with Eddie's Attic too in Decatur and Atlanta. And so we're still going to be playing a lot and touring in that area because we want to build it naturally. We want to build real fans, and like you.
Yeah, like me. I know. Well, and now that I know, like, your schedule's pretty stacked with Georgia dates, I'm going to try to find a way to get up there and see y'all. Because I'm from South Georgia. I'm closer to Florida. But I have got to see you again. Because, like Ward said, you crushed it. And I want to see more. Like you were just saying, with finding the right partner to work on the recording side of things and the artist management side of things, I feel like you said, things will just come in time when they're supposed to, good Lord willing, Tell me, what's your favorite thing about singing to a live audience?
You want to go first? We might have different opinions. You never know.
Yeah, I love that.
I'll go first and I'll be quick. I think my favorite thing about singing to a live audience is just the give and take. I've been in a lot of situations where I'm just like singing in the corner of a bar and there's a lot of give, and I'm not like, I'm giving a lot, but I'm not like maybe receiving a lot of energy. Just because it's kind of, you're just sitting there playing covers, you might just be background noise or whatever. But whenever you do a project like this and you get to write, your own music and play your own music in front of a crowd that is fully engaged and like totally reciprocating that energy, and they're receiving the lyrics and receiving the the meaning behind the song and the heart behind the song. Whenever you get that energy back, that's pretty undescribable. It's like one of the best feelings for sure.
Yeah, I have to definitely agree with that. I would say that is one of my favorite things about playing live. Another is just I've really enjoyed seeing people's reaction to us because we are a newer band, and especially with, like Malachi said, I mean, we've had several things that have happened to us that are just kind of unexplainable, and I mean, it's definitely like a blessing, and you kind of have to look to God, or you have to look at it as a blessing because it's just so you can't really explain it. And I feel like watching people's reaction and watching the room expand over time, like from our shows back in September to now, and just seeing the crowd expand. And like our last Whiskey Jam that we played was a great example of one of my favorite things about playing live is we are in a lineup with people who have been in Nashville for a long time, people who have that Nashville sound. They have more of that, radio sound, and it's awesome, and they found their groove and whatever. And then we come in and we're like, hey, we're like this folky American country, maybe a little bluegrass duo. You've like never heard of us. How do you even pronounce the band name? Not sure. And I'm thinking, half these people in the room are probably going to leave because we're starting with a slower song as well. It's not very honky tonk. We're starting out with Marshall County Man, which is literally a bluegrass murder ballad. So I guess it has been just super rewarding, and I've been very, very grateful to situations like that where we start playing and the entire room fills up and is quiet, and it's like, when do you ever see a room like that just completely like shut up for a song? So that has been probably my favorite thing about playing live is seeing people's reaction to us and our art, and what we, pour out on paper in the middle of the night is now being sang in front of people who believe in us. And that's really, really important to me. And I think over time, we're just going to keep getting blown away by that concept, and rooms expanding, and people really having a beautiful reaction to our art that we hold so closely to us.
Wow. And I want to, again, thank you so much for sharing your art with your audiences, because like I said, I was blown away. And you touched on that a little bit with the Whiskey Jam stage. You have artists who you expect to be good. And then seeing you guys just kind of set that bar a little bit higher for me and the Whiskey Jam experience for sure.
Thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely. And I can't wait to see you again. Before we go, I don't want to hold you up any longer. Is there anything else that you'd like to promote, or anything that you want to, or anybody that you'd like to give a shout out to before you log off today?
I'd love to give a big shout out to Ron Stuvey for sure. I mean, this whole wave that has happened was just a beautiful puzzle and harmony of people all doing their thing together, and really none of this would have happened if Ron Stuvey didn't find us online and make that drive and take a chance on us. So big shout out to Ron.
I would say shout out to Dan Hannon as well. He is a good friend of ours, a producer, and we've touched on it just a little bit, but we have a family in Muscle Shoals that Malachi got to know earlier on in his music career, and then I've gotten to know through our band, and that's where we make our music. That's our studio. That's where our music is being produced, and we have a family of people there who are just extremely talented. Michael Wright, Gary Nichols, Jared Presbys, and Dan Hannon, and many more. And Dan gave us a big talking to the night before we drove up to Nashville to meet with Universal, and
just gave us some great perspective on the situation, because it's easy to get tunnel vision whenever you're like so locked into your plan. And Dan kind of gave us a mile high perspective and really put a fire under us to do what we needed to do to really take charge on our end. But yeah, Dan's awesome.
Yeah, he especially for me, Being a newer artist gave me a lot of perspective. And like Malachi said, it was just a really, really beautiful point of view. And he delivered it in a way that did just put a fire under us. And I truly don't believe we would have had the confidence. And maybe we would have, but I think that I gained my confidence to be able to have a real conversation with such a big, I mean, the room that we were in, I mean, it's the Universal staff. They're such talented human beings. They see talent that's just way beyond what you could imagine every single day. So walking into a room like that is like being on Shark Tank. I mean, you're like literally like my hands are shaking and like I'm trying to like drink water to clear me being choked up so I don't like sound terrible when I start singing for him. So it's a nervous setting, and I think Dan believes in us. I mean, probably just as much as we believe in us. And it was a really, really awesome time to be able to talk to him and him give us that encouragement we needed to go forward and seal the deal. So he's somebody I want to give a shout out to as well. And shout out to Dan and Ron and all of our people in Muscle Shoals and our friends and family who just believe in us and love on us during this time.
Yeah. It's awesome to hear that you have such an amazing support group and you're so grounded in your home life, and I can't wait to hear more from you guys. Well, with that being said, this is Leigh with Coda Country, and you just heard about the Band Loula on Coda Country Chats. Have a good day.